All right, well, it's time I start playing with this thing, I guess. As you can see, the shocks are already missing. I took those off and dropped them off Tuesday night at the racetrack to a guy to have them rebuilt. I did take the car over to a friend of mine so he could look at it and kind of tell me what we're working with, because I don't know anything about these. So he took a look at it, threw it up on the scales, and it actually looks pretty good, he said. Scaled decent. Everything looks pretty good. So he gave me some ideas, some things to modify. My kids are both very small and very light, so we need to add a ton of weight to the car. And the best way to do that is going to be to replace the aluminum floor pan with a big chunk of steel. So that's one of the things we have to do. We also have to change these tires out to a Hoosier D10. So those are on order, but we gotta get these wheels off. I'll pop this Nerf bar off this side, pop the Nerf bar off the other side. We're gonna get all this tin off of here because that white box over there is the new seat. This is a new motor. These things are expensive. This little tiny car will end up costing more than my mini stock, which is ridiculous. I bought, what did I buy? I bought 4, 5, 6, I bought 7 tires, and it was $650. Yeah, that's like double what it costs for a mini stock. That engine and that box is used was $1,000. Oh, it's insane what this stuff costs. Anyways, we're gonna get some of these panels off here because I gotta move the pedals back. We gotta figure out how we're gonna mount that seat. There's seat belts that gotta get mounted. All kinds of stuff. So we gotta get these wheels off, get this Nerf bar off, get these panels off. So cue the time lapse. All right, so what we're looking at here is a Prowler chassis. It's a small Prowler chassis from what we can tell. Year, I have no idea. But I mean, some of the stuff's pretty nice. And you can adjust camber and stuff here, which I guess is pretty good after my buddy looked at it. Again, I don't know anything about these cars. Offset rear axle, or sorry, front axle. The rear axle is keyway type. It's not a splined one, so there'll be some messing around there probably. Again, I don't really know much about these things, but is this not the cutest little tiny seat, Kirky seat you've ever seen? I think that's the smallest one they make. It's a 10-inch. Is it ridiculous or what? So you saw me move the pedals back as far as they would go, and hopefully my son can reach them. I mean, I can always move the seat forward a little for him, but I gotta, we gotta play it by how we can move this here. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I'm going to have to get him in the car, get my son and my daughter in here, and see how this works. Yeah, they don't make a full containment, I don't believe, small enough. I think the smallest one I could find was like a 14-inch, and my kids are still really, really small. This class starts at 5 years old. So my son is 5. Well, he'll be 6 in August. By the time he gets in this car, he'll be 6. But my daughter's 8. Yeah, so I did buy both sides of headrests for this, so we'll make it as containment as we possibly can. And we got a nice net up here for protection. There is a winged class where we run, so I'm going to have to weld some mounts on here to put a wing on. I'm going to have to make a wing because apparently nobody seems to know who exactly is making the wings up there, but that's okay. We can make a wing. Not a big deal. And I got to figure out some type of engine compartment cover. I don't know that I need one, but we'll make something out of tin to kind of do something back there to cover that. I got to get a muffler. I got to get a gas cap. For some reason, it didn't have a gas cap. I got to figure out how to hook up a throttle linkage because they're different from that UT1 to that UT3. Apparently there's different motors, UT1, UT2, UT3. UT3 is supposedly the fastest one. That was a UT1. The flywheel is like not even attached to it. We don't know if it runs. We don't know anything about it. That's what came on the car. But again, that's the slowest of the 3 motors. And I don't want them to be slow, so I bought them the fast motor. But I got to replace the valve springs in it, which I've never done. But luckily, There's a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it. So I watched one, and I bought a bunch of valve springs, and I guess you have to replace the valve springs like every 2 races. It's crazy. This is not like when I raced go-karts, not at all. That was a long time ago, though, so that's fair. So yeah, we got to do some stuff to that. I got to get a sprocket for it because this has a different style hub on it, so we got to get a sprocket for that. I don't know if that's the right sprocket there. I have this stuff written down. My buddy Ray wrote it all down for me, so I have it written down what I need to do. We got tires coming. I need to find a couple of rims for spares. Yeah, I'm kind of just winging it. I got to shorten that brake shaft because it's too long. That's okay. I should be able to just cut that and retap it, shorten that shaft up a little bit. We're at this point now where I kind of got to get the kids in here and figure out distancing so we can get that seat mounted and figure out how we're going to do seat belt mounts and all of that good stuff. Because I'm not sure how they were mounted before. I don't actually see a mount for the seat belts that they had in there before. Maybe that's what these are. Not way up there. That doesn't make sense. Got some back here, but that doesn't make sense either. That had to be how they had the seat mounted. Yeah, I don't know. So, I'm going to have to weld some tabs or something on here. Maybe they had them wrapped around here. That might be what they did. They might have had them wrapped. That looks like a good spot. Except I don't know if I bought wrap. I don't know if I bought wrapped or bolt-in. But they probably had them wrapped around there, and they probably had the rear ones wrapped around here. That's why there's a hole there. We'll figure it out. We'll get it together. It's just going to take me a little while to figure everything out. All the little tips and tricks and everything else. So that's where we're at for now. Next, I will probably do the valve springs in that motor. And then we'll get back to this, or maybe we'll get the seat and seat belts mounted and then go to that. I don't know. Let's see where this goes, I guess. All right. Well, we got a little sidetracked off the quarter midget last weekend, so some of you may have noticed that there wasn't a video, in between last video and this video. Busy, okay? Stuff came up. We worked on the quarter midget a little bit at the beginning of this episode, and then my plan was that Sunday to do a bunch of work to the quarter midget, but I got sidetracked on Father's Day stuff. My father wanted some landscaping done, and he's pretty awesome, so I dropped what I was doing and went and did some landscaping, which you didn't want to see. So we did that. And then I didn't work on the quarter midget. So as you can see, it's pretty much just the way we left it over there. Yeah, I think you can see it. Yeah, it's pretty much the way we left it. So this weekend, we are going racing at Genesee Speedway, which is technically my home track. And we haven't been there in over a year. So behind me, over there, are some Hoosiers. Because Genesee is one of only 2 tracks in New York that still run race tires. But they only, according to the rule book, they only allow a certain Hoosier, a 26.5 and a 27, that Hoosier no longer makes. They're discontinued. So I had to go dig those out of a shed. They're Don's tires, not mine. I don't have any Hoosiers left. So I went and dug those out of the shed, but they are 3 years old probably, at least. So they need to be prepped. So that's what we're going to do after I change this oil. I change oil every 2 to 3 races, and this certified synthetic blend 10W30, my sponsor, certifiedlabs.com. This stuff looks the same coming out as it goes in. So, I mean, does it need to be changed? Probably not. But I also get to, look at the oil and make sure that it still looks the same as it did when it went in. And then it doesn't have any sparkles in it. We don't want sparkly oil. So, yeah, this stuff's great. We ran this stuff all last season. Actually, we've run this stuff now. How long has Certified been with me? 3 or 4 seasons, probably. We've been running this oil. It's good stuff. It's got that nice green tint to it like you want to see in oil. And like I said, right now I'm draining into here. A lot of times I will drain this stuff out into a clean bucket or a clean bottle, and I'll put it in my truck. I'll literally take it out of the race car and put it in my truck. Because my truck's old. And she's a Chevy. So she uses oil, okay? but she always runs. So there's that. She uses a little bit of oil, but she always runs. But it's a Chevy. It's got 240,000 miles on it, so it burns a little bit of oil. So I probably should be recycling this and putting it in my truck, but I didn't think about that until just now when I was talking to you. So it's going in there, and it'll get, you know, taken somewhere in my buddy's house, probably using his burner. Yeah, so we're gonna prep those tires. I will show you how I do that. It's just a grinder. You know, I might get my groover, Cyper out. Might do that to it too, because they are old, and it probably wouldn't hurt to open them up a little bit. But we're gonna look at that. We got to mount. I got to mount 2 of them. We got to mount a 27, and I think I'm gonna dismount one of my white rims to put the 26.5 on. So this side of the car will have white wheels. That side of the car will have black wheels, just because they're not mine. Of course, maybe not. Maybe I won't put that 26. Yeah, I'm going to put that 26.5 on a white wheel. So yeah, we're doing this. Changing the oil. Checking this thing over. Make sure it's good. We're going to mount those Hoosiers and prep. Probably only going to prep 2 of them, just the front ones. I don't usually prep the back one. They're just sliding around back there. We don't run a Hoosier on the left rear. That stays a DOT because it's kind of just a placeholder. And maybe at the end of this video, we'll get back over to that quarter midget. But we're going to do these tires. We're going to go to Genesee and race tomorrow. The weather looks good. It is terribly crappy and rainy and gross outside today, but tomorrow looks good. And it is a memorial race. Mackenzie, Calusa Memorial Race. Calessa, I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. Memorial race. A young lady was hit by a car and killed a couple years back. And her father, you know, they were race fans, racers. They do 2 memorial races a year. This year, actually, I think they did 3. I think they did a go-kart race too. But there will be one this weekend at Genesee, and then on July 14th, there'll be another Mackenzie race at Ransomville. And I actually won the first ever Mackenzie race. So I haven't missed one since then. We've made them all. I would like to continue to make them all. I've only won the first one, though. I didn't win any of the other ones. So we're going to try to win tomorrow. That's why we got the Hoosiers. And then we'll try to win the next one too. Try to win as many of them as we can. It should be a pretty good pot. It's kind of memorial races. Usually they sell laps, so you don't really know exactly what the payout's going to be at a lot of them. Like Ransomville a couple weeks ago for the Wilkinson Memorial race that I won. The advertised payout was $700, but there was lap money on top of that, so we wound up with $900. That's what I mean. So usually the Mackenzie races are over $1,000. The first time I won it, it was like $1,380 by the time they got done putting lap money in. So we'll find out when we get there at the end of the night. It's kind of like a surprise. What are you going to get in this envelope? Yeah, but it's a good race. We should have a good turnout. Usually we have a pretty good turnout for the Mackenzie race. We'll find out. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been to Genesee in over a year. And that's technically my home track. I have 2 championships there. So put the Hoosiers back on for the first time in a long time, and we'll see what happens, I guess. But we got to prep them tires first. All right, so when it comes to grinding tires, there are multiple ways to do this. I use a sanding pad like this. That's not going to open it up a ton. It's kind of just going to burn that glazed layer off from it sitting. They make a lot of different wheels. They make wheels with pins on them and stuff. It kind of sipes it while you're grinding it. I don't know that much about it, I'll be honest here. But you're basically taking off the glazed over layer, the burnt layer, whatever you want to call it, and opening up the fresh rubber for the racetrack. You'll see guys at the racetrack doing this between races, before the feature. They'll grind them and get fresh rubber before they go out for the feature. I was never really one to do that. I've done it before, but I usually don't bother doing that. I kind of just do it before we go to the track, and it is what it is. I just brain farted. Oh, I was always taught to grind to the outside of the racetrack. So for some reason, I don't know why, nobody ever told me why, they just told me that's how you're supposed to do it, towards the outside of the racetrack. So obviously this is the outside of the wheel, this is the right front. We'll go this way, and then on the left front, we'll go towards the inside of the tire, or inside of the wheel, because that's the outside of the racetrack. I don't know why. Maybe someone can comment below and tell me why they do it that way. just how I was told to do it. So, I don't know. Let's grind some. All right, so because this tire was dirty, it's given us a real good view of tire wear. So if you look here, if we try to get square on it, you can see how much dirt is on this edge and how little dirt there is on this edge. If you were to run your finger across it, this edge over here is quite a bit sharper than this edge over here. Now this isn't just a race tire thing, your DOTs will do the same thing. So this edge is what's helping you turn, okay? Unfortunately, this tire is worn. Being on the right front, it's scrubbing this way on the racetrack and it has rounded off all the edges on this side. So you're losing some of your turning bite on there. I really should take this tire off and flip it over on the rim so that this sharp edge is to the outside to help the car turn better. I really should. I don't know. I might be lazy and I might not do it, but I really should flip it over so that the sharp edge is out. On the left front, it would be opposite. It'll be worn from the inside because you're dragging the tire across the track on the inside of the wheel. So you want the sharp edges towards the outside of the track. And that goes for your DOTs too. And just like I'm about to do with these, so I'm gonna get my groover and siper out and, you know, open these up a little. And I usually add a groove to the outside bar. If I flip it, I'll have to do it on this bar, but to the outside bar for just one extra edge to help it turn. It's actually done on this tire already. This is a left front, so you'll see there's a bar on the inside grooved into it because this is the outside of the track, inside of the rim on the left front. Just another edge to catch the track and help the car turn. This tire actually has some grooves going this way for forward bite. This tire's like almost spent. There's hardly any tread left on this one, but like I said, these are old. They're discontinued tires. Hoosier doesn't make them anymore. So yeah, this tire being used is going to be a little bit smaller, so it's actually going to give me a little bit more stagger. So I am going to put this one on. I have a good left front. It's on a stock wheel. Oh, this one right here. This one has a ton of tread left on it, but it's pretty much, it does have a sharp edge on this side. It would have to be flipped to use that sharp edge, but it's on a stock wheel, and I'm not really a fan of stock wheels. So I'm gonna keep this one as a spare. We're gonna clean this one up. I'll probably open this groove up a little, put a little bit fatter blade in and open this groove up a little. And we're gonna grind and prep this one for the left front. And this is the right front. And I really, really should flip that. It is a bead lock, so it probably won't be that bad. The only problem is when you leave a Hoosier on a rim for a long time, like these have been on, they can be a real pain in the butt to get the bead broke on. Being the soft rubber, it like glues itself to the rim. That's really what I'm afraid of. So I might not flip this, even though I should. I really should. Ooh, we ground it. I mean, if we sipe it and open it up, it'll probably be fine. And if I put a groove on this edge, that should give us enough turning grip for one night. So I think I'm gonna be lazy and not try to do this. I think I'm gonna leave it and we'll just prep it the way it is. We gotta grind that one now, and then we gotta get the groover out and sipe and groove and try to make these old race tires the best they can be. Fun, fun, fun. Well, that is blurry. Come on, focus. Focus, there we go. Kind of, sort of focused. As you can see there's two little blades sticking down. Kind of see it. It's set up for siping right now. This is a grooving iron, siping iron, whatever you want to call it. Why my phone is refusing to focus is beyond me. There we go. Yeah, grooving iron, siping iron, whatever you want to call it. This is obviously a really old one. We've had it for a long time. It's my Uncle Vic's. If you look at the top of the iron here, it's not going to focus for me. Let me grab a different one. I got another head here that's already loaded. Oh! So maybe it'll show you this one. You can see that the blade's flipped over. So there's actually like a U shape. See it there? A little U shape. That's for grooving. Takes a chunk of rubber right out. which gives you like this groove here. Opens it up, takes a big chunk of rubber out, gives you that groove there. This groove is actually pretty good on this tire. I'm not going to bother messing with it, but we're going to sipe some of these blocks a little bit just to open the rubber up, because these are old and hard. But we got to use the other blade with the 2 razors sticking down. They're good and hot now. There's really nothing to see here. I'm just going to run this thing across. You won't really be able to tell I even did anything. It does kind of open it up a little bit, let it clear dust and debris, gives it a little bit more bite. Yeah, there's plenty of videos on grooving and siping that are way better than this one. Professionals, guys that race late models and stuff that actually do this stuff all the time can explain it to you a lot better than I can. But yeah, you can do this same type of thing to a DOT tire. I'd be careful. Some tracks allow it, some don't. Some rule books don't say you can't. That's what we call gray area. So I've got some DOTs with this same groove because the DOT tire had a big bar on the outside. And I mean, we are rolling the tires over a little bit in the corner. So I have some DOTs that actually have a groove cut in them just like this. Same on the right front, left front, you know, like I explained before. I have some that are like this. I've never really siped a DOT, but I have added grooves to them. Sometimes you'll get a DOT that's got really nice vertical bars that'll help you turn, but doesn't have much for horizontal bars for forward bite. So I've grooved horizontal bars before to try to give it some more forward bite. Yeah, you got to play around and see what works for your car. With the DOTs, though, you want to pay attention to your tread wear because that's the hardness of the tire. So the Douglases, which I absolutely love, and I'm hearing rumors that they're not going to make them anymore, are a 420 tread wear. Whereas like this one on the right rear here, oh, I've got it written down here somewhere, is a 500 tread wear. You got to pay attention to that. The higher the number, the harder the tire is going to be. So like when I went to State Line, they actually have a rule. They're the only track I know of in my area that has a rule that it has to be a 300 or higher tread wear. So something to pay attention to when you're ordering DOTs is the tread wear. The lower the number, the softer the tire. I just bought a tire for the front right that I actually had on at State Line. I don't know where it is. I think it might be in the back of my truck. That had really good vertical bars. I liked the tread pattern on it. But when I actually ran it during the heat race, which you got to watch last week, the car was pushing, coming off the corner, and I couldn't make the pass on that yellow Civic. In the feature, I changed the tire back over to a Douglas, which was softer by like 100 tread wear. But it was also on a 4-inch backspace wheel, where the tire that wasn't working was on a 3-inch backspace wheel. So I switched to a different tire, but I also tucked the tire under the car more, which will help it turn better. So it worked, obviously. I won the race. Just things to think about when you're doing setup. Just another quick tip here. Oil filters. Like I said, I change my oil every 2 to 3 races. Instead of stopping at the auto parts store every couple of weeks to buy filters, because that gets expensive real quick, go on eBay and buy them in bulk. You will get them a lot cheaper. I have also always ran these AC Delco filters and never had a problem. A lot of guys worry about these things collapsing when you take them out. Yeah, there's a lot of choices for filters. I've always ran these AC Delcos and never had an issue. So as you can see, it's not collapsed. I just took it out. Yeah, buy them in bulk. Go on eBay. Save yourself a bunch of money. All right, we're at Genesee Speedway. My home track. We haven't been here in over a year. The car was awesome in the heat race. We started 3rd, dropped back to 4th, made our way back up to 2nd, and then redraw was top 3. So no reason to risk the car trying to take 1st. So we just kind of hung in there in 2nd. Took 2nd. Unfortunately, my wife pulled a 9. 3 heats, 3 redraw. Yeah, you do the math. That's the highest pin. But I suck at pulling pins, so I probably would have pulled 9 myself. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, there's some fast cars here, and I have to start in the back of the redraw cars. So in the back of the fast cars, I guess. If that's how you want to look at it. We got a lot of work to do. The track is actually wet. It's nice. It's fast. So we're going to go put in some work. I really hope we don't have problems with the GoPro. Starting 9th, we should have some pretty good footage. I just checked the battery. It has 75% battery or something, so it should be good. Okay, and I deleted all the footage, so we shouldn't have to worry about, you know, memory card issues. Should be fine. As long as the button gets pressed properly, we'll be good. So, car's prepped, ready to go. Kids are playing on the trailer. Let's get some. I just got done washing the car, and I figured we should probably do a damage assessment. That was the roughest race I have ever been in. There was a lot of beating and banging going on. As you can see, the side skirt is missing. It's actually laying inside the car in there. The door panel's dented all the way up to the mirror. Yeah. The panel back there that holds the door on is ripped off. The rear quarter panel is smashed in. And this is the left side. So, yeah. The right side has some markings too. She's got some tire rubs and stuff over here, but not anywhere near as bad as the left side. Again, we got damage all the way up here on the door. I'm not sure how both sides are smashed that high. But, I mean, we got some pretty good dents here. This is all shaped around the inside. There's a bar behind the door here for structural support, and you can see the door is pretty much shaped around that bar. Not terrible. It's mostly tire marks. The rear quarter panel here still seems to be shaped correctly, which I'm thankful for because we just put that new quarter on for the first time this year. No, second time. That's the second quarter on there. Either way, that quarter's a pain in the butt, so I'm happy that that thing's in decent shape. This fender took a beating, but it was already damaged from before, and it ripped the nose off the car. I took the hood tie for the pin off and kind of sewed it back on just so we could get off the track and onto the trailer. That was dragging on the ground for like the whole second half of the race. The tow chain in the front is actually what kept that on. So, a lot of you guys don't run tow chains, or you put them up here. I actually forgot on the doctor's last car to put it there. That thing has actually saved me more than once by being there. If that wasn't there, this nose would have been under the car probably, ripped all the way off, or I would have got black flagged for it. That chain held the nose on enough that I could keep driving. So, you know, tow chains, a lot of tracks require a tow loop or tow chain of some sort. There's one on the back and the front of most of the cars that I build. There was one on the back of the doctor's car, but I actually forgot to put the one on the front. And I don't know what his rule book is, but it saved me a bunch of times. So this got ripped off fairly early, actually. I think it was like half ripped off, and then I think I might have finished it off when I gave Ian a bump going down the backstretch. Either Ian or Rocco. I gave them both a bump at some point going down the backstretch. So, yeah. Sam stuck some stickers on there because she thinks she's funny. But yeah, we got a lot of tire rub. I mean, it's not too bad. The toe is definitely knocked out of it. Look at this tire. Pointing in, kind of. And this one, also pointing in. So the toe, it had 3/4 of an inch toe out, which is more than I normally run. But it was working, so I didn't mess with it. And we have toe in now. So something's definitely bent. Probably this control arm. Possibly the strut. But if I had to guess, it's probably the control arm, the bottom of it. But normally if you bend a control arm, it takes the camber out of the car, and it still seems to have camber in it. So it might be the strut that's bent. I don't think we took too many hits on this tire. This fender actually looks pretty good. So, I mean, the rim has some pretty good gouges in it. So there was some contact here, but I don't remember getting hit hard enough on this. I mean, I got hit in that door really hard a few times. But I don't remember getting hit on this tire hard enough that it would bend anything. So I have to imagine that I'm going to find damage over here. And it's probably that strut because it's brand new. So we probably bent the brand new strut. I mean, that would only make sense. I would expect nothing less. So we got to get this thing cleaned up and ready for next Friday. Just pulled this front wheel off to try to check for damage. I mean, you can see there's damage there, but that's from before. So we're trying to figure out why this is towed in. And if you look at this control arm, right about here, and you look at this one that's not bent, yeah, that's bent. It's not excessive, but it's bent. It's bent up. I was kind of expecting to find a bent strut, just the way the wheel was sitting, but it appears to be bent right here. Doesn't mean it's not also bent there. It's kind of hard to tell. It almost gives an optical illusion, like maybe it's got a little curve to it. Like maybe it's bent. Oh, usually they kink right in here someplace if they bend, but I guess it could still be bent. They both could be bent. Oh well, it is what it is. We'll put a new control arm on. I have some in the trailer. And I don't know, maybe I'll order a strut too. Get them out, get that one out of there and lay it next to a new one. Maybe it's super obvious once it's out of the car. That's racing. Out here playing parts cars games. We needed to get this one to the scrapper because it's been back here in the weeds for quite a while. And, you know, scraps up, so get that money. But it was buried behind this one, which was next to this one. So there was no way we were getting to this one. So I hooked a ratchet strap from the orange one, because that one actually runs and drives, to this one, and had to give it a few really good yanks to get it out. You can see where I had the ratchet strap hooked to it, it bent it, and then on this one it actually ripped it. But whatever, we don't use that part of the car, so it doesn't matter. But we got these pulled out of the way. I winched that one up on the trailer. We got that one over there. That's just for a motor. That one's got a good 2.4 in it. That was a mistake. I paid $400 for that car. The motor has crap compression, so that's junk, basically, unless we rebuild the 2.4, I guess. But, you know, catalytic converters, everything, I should get my money back out of that one. But now I gotta try and push this one back in. I'm gonna see if I can set this phone up here so you can watch. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we'll give it a shot. No, probably not there. Maybe on the back bumper. Down low. That's not a good shot at all. Yeah, you might be able to see it. Let's see what happens. That worked.